Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, I am here with FightersRep own George Francis. I forgot your name for a bit
Yeah,
there.
it's all right. It's fine.
FightersRep 10 was just this past Friday. Today's Tuesday, a couple days out
A
from
little
the
late on that. We're
event.
a little late on
Little
this
late,
one.
but what'd you think of the event? How'd everything go in your opinion?
I thought it was a great event, Ivan. Our best one yet, our biggest one yet. Partially because of, I think COVID has got people stuck at home and they want to get out so bad. But partially because of fights, man. Everybody wanted to see these fights. There were a lot of fights on this card that people had been wanting to see. For instance, the Korean Pitbull, Fochman versus Oscar Mueller. I think Evan Bolton, out of Long Beach versus Clarence Watson, who's also a beast. And of course the pro fights. I mean, we had Bracken versus, Jackson, which is an incredible fight. Cully versus, Moss in the main event. I mean, just a lot of great fights. And I just think there was a lot of anticipation for it. And best card we've ever had, man. It's only going to get better from here, hopefully.
Yeah, I would have to agree. It was the best card yet for us. The fans were very excited, like you said, because of COVID. There was a long layoff or long period of time without these shows.
Yeah.
They were happy to get back, and especially the fighters, they were happy to get back.
Man,
No lack of
I
action
know.
from start to finish, from the amateurs to the pros.
Yeah.
It was high level striking for sure.
It was electric, man. The people in there were going crazy, man. The people were, it was a sellout. People were going nuts in there, and the fighters, they didn't disappoint at all, man. That was a lot of closely contested, very exciting fights.
They were all exciting, and I know it might be a little hard to pick your favorite one, but which one would you say is your favorite one, or that deserves
Yeah.
fight of the night or performance of the night?
So it is hard to pick because I really loved a lot of the fights on the card. I loved the Jonathan Montoya versus Luis Moreno fight. That was a slugfest the whole time. I loved the Mueller versus Fochman, another great fight. I loved the main event, Cully versus Moss. That was a great fight. Moss comes away with it in the championship rounds. But I think the best fight that night and the most exciting one, and it ended in a draw, was Conor Bracken versus Eddie Jackson. That was just, it was crazy. It reminded me of like when Miguel Cotto fought Antonio Margarito, where, Bracken was kind of just coming forward the whole time, and Jackson was trying to pick him off, kind of being the Cotto of the fight. And I thought he would walk Jackson down at the end, but Jackson, man, just wouldn't go down. Hit him with some big shots, big counters, big uppercuts. Bracken landed huge shots as well, dropped Jackson in the first round. I guess the judges thought they were able to, or rather Jackson was able to make up the last couple rounds. They called it a draw, and I'm okay with that result. Because I thought it was a great fight. It's cool for Jackson not to go out with a loss. I'm sure he would have wanted to win, but a draw is pretty good when it's fight of the night. And I think for Bracken, I thought he did really well. A draw is not really that harmful at all. Even a loss, I don't think in a fight like that is harmful. It was such a great fight. I'm excited to have him back, man. And Jackson said he's retiring, but I don't know, man. If he comes back, I told him, man, hey, you're welcome, man. After a fight like that, you can come back anytime, bro.
Yeah, it was quite a way to go out, for Jackson.
Yeah.
Obviously, like you said, a draw might have not been exactly the way he would have wanna leave, but what a fight! Like you
Fight
said,
of the night.
fight of the night.
With a draw, hey, I'll take it, man. I'll take it. And then it looks like Cully may have retired too. I don't know 100% because obviously, he took the loss. Maybe he was emotional. So I don't know where his head is at. Maybe having some issues making weight ahead of the fight has something to do with his decision, medical issues. But, I'm going to hold off on saying he's completely retired. Actually, for the both of them, I don't know. You never know when they get the itch again. So, but we'd love to have them both back, whatever happens. And if this is the last time they fight, great fights. Congrats to the both of you, man. It was an absolute pleasure working with the both of you guys.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that, you just mentioned Cully. What'd you think about that main event? Cully and Moss.
Man, that was a great, great main event. I mentioned Cully. He came in a little heavy. Moss still agreed to take the fight after some negotiation. You know, I don't know if Cully's body just wasn't reacting. A lot of people had trouble because of the whole, COVID thing. They hadn't gotten ready for a fight in a very long time. Cully's in his mid 30s now. Maybe his body didn't really react the way he wanted it to. But, it ended up being an excellent fight. It ended up being a great fight. I think Moss was in great shape. I mean, he's in Colorado training at mile high altitude. He was under, he was a pound, almost a pound and a half under. He was ready. And, Cully, he didn't have the difficulties, definitely, I don't think. Who knows? I don't think he had the medical issues maybe that Cully was having trying to make weight, because he made weight pretty easily, it looks like. Although I don't want to minimize his struggle either. I'm sure he's going through it. He was very professional. He made weight, and I just thought, man, he looks in great shape. He went out there, and that's kind of what he did. He kind of just kept coming, landing shots. Eventually, he broke Chris down, and got the well-deserved stoppage. And takes home the IKF US title and the first ever FightersRep Pro title. So, congrats to the champ in Justin Moss. But I thought it was just a great fight, man. I thought it was a great fight. I don't think Chris Cully should be ashamed at all. He's had a fantastic career. And if he wants to come back, we're open to it. He's probably going to continue as a coach if he doesn't come back. So we look forward to working with him.
Definitely. So we've talked about the main event. We talked about.
I talked too much. I talked too much.
Just a little bit. We've talked about the Conor Bracken fight, which, in your opinion, deserves a fight of the night.
Yeah, that's going to be fight of the night. Yeah.
Now tell me, what about KO or finish of the night?
Yeah, finish of the night. Come on, that's a no-brainer. It's on, ESPN. It's on TMZ right now. It's all over the world. It's Khalil Silva's 8-second knockout in his debut fight, kickboxing. I'm glad he did it with us. His brother's been on the show before, Gabe Silva, and it looks like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Both of Anderson Silva's children. Both great fighters, seemingly, like their father. We didn't get a lot of time to see Khalil, but it's because he didn't give us a lot of time to see him. It was like a jumping switch kick that he landed right on the chin of Anthony Reynaga. And, Anthony just, he got up, stumbling a little bit, and I understood why they stopped the fight, because when somebody's compromised like that, especially at the amateur level, this is still the amateurs, right? You don't want to let them continue. And I understand why they stopped the fight. So I'm really excited to see what Khalil Silva can do. He's been an absolute pleasure to work with. The kid's, super professional and understanding, and very, he seems very focused. And I look for, big things out of him. I'll say this, though, about Anthony Reynaga, his opponent that lost. Even though we didn't get to see a lot of him, he comes from a really great camp. Champions PJJ. All their guys are really tough. We saw Rich Lara fight, and we saw Jonathan Montoya fight. I think he's a kid in the same vein as those two kids. I think he's going to be back, and I look forward to seeing him come back. And I'm sure Anderson Silva told him in the ring afterwards, and his coaches, that this is the fight game. This is the kind of thing that happens. But I do think he's going to come back, and I wouldn't be surprised if he comes back and surprises some people.
Yeah, I agree.
Because that team, that Champions BJJ team, is, those guys, they've got a USA Boxing, program there. And they've got, obviously it's BJJ, it's called BJJ. So they have jiu-jitsu and MMA, and they do everything. But they're really good strikers, and very tough kids in that area, in Covina, West Covina, wherever it is. And I see the kid coming back and doing good things. I look forward to working with them again.
Definitely. Is there any fight that was on the card that you feel like it slipped under the radar, that maybe people didn't really pay much attention to, but that should?
Man, I don't think any of them did, to be honest with you. It was over 1,000 people in there going crazy. But right off the top, let's be honest, that first fight Sammy Caceres and Kevin Gomez, they opened the show up with a bang, man. I mean, that was incredible. And then it kind of just it went up and it kind of just stayed up, to the end. I thought again the Jonathan Montoya versus Luis Moreno fight. I mean, I watch that every day if you want. Great fight. What a fight.
Seemed like a boxing
Oh
fight
my
at first.
God, yeah, yeah. And Jonathan Montoya. I mean, look, Luis Moreno was in there. He was not backing down for a second. But Jonathan Montoya got the stoppage. It was a good stoppage. And I look forward to seeing both guys. Montoya, though, man, I mean, he made his debut with us. He made his debut with us, and I saw something in that guy, man. And after he made his debut with us, he went and signed up for a tournament in Arizona, a Muay Thai tournament. I told his coach, man, that guy's going to do something out there. That guy's going to eat out there. He ended up going 4-1, knocking almost everybody out, losing a decision in the final round after just making a debut with us. So now he's like 6-1 after his win on Friday night in kickboxing. I think he's also won an MMA fight or two. And that kid, I mean, you're not going to beat that kid on hard. I don't think you're going to beat that kid on hard. The closest guy that came to it was Luis Moreno, but you're not going to beat that guy on hard. You're going to have to do something really technically special to beat Jonathan Montoya. Tough kid, very tough kid. Who else? I mean, there was a lot of fights on there. I really enjoyed because heavyweights. I really enjoyed Kevin Ross versus Roberto Jimenez. I thought Jimenez put up a good fight. Obviously, Ross got the win. Looked really good. Very, technical heavyweight with great movement. Very excited about him. Training out of Milton Arguello's Eva Bay Academy. Shout out to Milton Arguello. I look forward to working with him in the future. But Kevin Ross, man, he looked really good for a heavyweight. And it's very exciting because there's not that many heavyweights. And when you see one like that can move around and they can fight, it's a great thing. So yeah, a lot of fights. I mean, I don't know, did any slip under the radar for you? I thought they were all pretty damn good. Oh, and Cordonero.
That's
Not
right.
Cordonero versus Hadi Sukkar. Sukkar stepping up on late notice. Shout out to him and Coach Johnson. Stepping up on 5 days' notice after his opponent fell out. Taking on Cordonero, who gets dropped in the first round. Comes back like Rocky, representing for Mission Muay Thai in Long Beach. I mean, you heard the crowd of that. I mean, Mission Muay Thai was out there. Look, some of these teams brought out hundreds of people. And Mission Muay Thai was one of them, man. And when Cordonero got off his back, I mean, that was pure heart to come back and win the fight. For me, that was his Rocky moment. You know what I mean? So I thought that was crazy exciting.
Definitely. One that you didn't mention was Kenneth Moy.
Great
versus,
fighter out of Team Oyama. Holy
Francis
cow, yeah,
Funiestas,
yeah.
who represents Mission as well.
Yeah. Kevin Moy, man, got the stoppage in that fight. Looked very good. Listen, he's working with, Cambodian Tony Kath. He's working with Romy Adanza. He's working with Colin Oyama, probably one of the best coaches in all of MMA. So, special talent. Francis looked good in that fight too. He's still young. He'll find his way. You can't win them all. This is the amateurs. This is where it's okay to lose. Even in the pros, it is as long as you put on a good fight. But I think he'll come back and do well as well. He looked technical in there. He looked good. It's just Moy looked very not only technical but very strong. Just overwhelmed him a little bit in that fight. And I look forward to seeing what Moy does too. He looked great.
Definitely. Is there any final thoughts you have, for the fans, for the supporters?
Yeah. No, thank you to everyone who purchased the live stream. Remember, this is a monthly payment, so if you want to stay with us, keep subscribed. Feel free to do that. But if you don't want to pay the monthly payment, don't forget to cancel. It tells you when you purchase it's a monthly payment. But thank you for joining us for the live stream and watching it. We had a good amount of people purchase. Thank you for all the fans that came out. Over 1,000 people. We sold out. Thank you so much for the support, man. Thank you for supporting kickboxing. It's big. People want to see kickboxing. This is what they love. They like to watch two guys stand and fight it out. That not everybody wants to see grappling. So this is a great rule set, I think, for the fans, and I appreciate them coming out. I also want to shout out all the coaches, man, all the fighters. There are a lot of fights we didn't really, touch on too much, but Michael Claycomb making his debut against Rich Lara. Shout out to Michael Claycomb Karate, Joseph Claycomb. I mean, a lot of people didn't, really expect much from a karate practitioner, but he showed that, karate kind of is the mother of kickboxing, and it works. Tyler Wombles was there. I thought that was very cool. David Huerta, first time, they're at the show. We had fantastic coaches in there. Crew Rod, out of Team Victory. Julio Trana was there, backing up Eddie Jackson. Chad George was there. Mark Aletko, and so on and so forth. We can go on forever, but just thank you to everyone. We're aiming to be back November 6th, and we're aiming for Anaheim, and we're aiming for an arena, and we're aiming for a beautiful event to keep the momentum going. And we hope you guys join us. Stay tuned. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe to the channel, Facebook, everywhere else. But definitely subscribe to this channel, and we'll keep you guys posted. And thank you, Ivan, for the fantastic job you're doing as well, man.
Of course. Thank you, George.